Hey, what's up everybody? In this video, I'm going to review Princess Tiana from the Princess and the Frog series. Princess Tiana's drop rate is exactly the same as Princess Cinderella as well as Princess Snow White. Out of the three new Tsums that we currently have right now, Princess Tiana is probably the worst one out of the three that's currently out, but honestly, she's not that bad. It's just that Princess Snow White and Princess Cinderella is better than Princess Tiana. So let's take a look at her ability description. The game demonstration that you're currently watching right now is a skill level 1 game demonstration. Her ability is going to clear a vertical line of Tsums, and it's not just one single one, it's going to be 3 different ones, and later on I'll show you exactly where the positions are for the 3 abilities. But let's take a look at her stats first. In order for you to activate her ability, you'll only need to charge her up by clearing 14 copies of her off the screen. So that is going to be the least amount compared to the other 2 Tsums that we have right now. So only 14 compared to the 16 that's needed for Snow White and Cinderella. Her minimum score is 60 with a maximum score of 1040. So for scoring, it's in the average range. It's not the best, not the worst. If you do want to get her to skill level 6, you'll need to get a total of 32 copies of her from the premium box. This is considered pretty average, not that high, but also not that low either. And before I go any further, if you guys would like to see more Tsum Tsum content just like this or would like to support this channel, please consider subscribing. It really does help me out a lot. Alright, so let's take a look at her skill chart on the bottom right hand corner. So as you can see, the skill range does increase slightly every single time you level up her ability. The skill range will go from extra small to extra large. And the game demonstration that you're currently watching right now is a extra small game demonstration. And what you'll see here is when you activate her ability, 3 blasts or vertical blasts will shoot through from the sides and as well as the middle. And as you level up her ability, the thickness of those vertical clears will get thicker and thicker. So once you get to skill level 6, the entire screen, well almost the entire screen, will get cleared off the screen. Alright, so let's take a look at Princess Tiana at skill level 1, 2, and 3. On the left, you'll see skill level 1, which is the skill range is going to be extra small. The center is a skill range of small, and finally on the right hand side, you're going to have the skill range of medium. So just keep in mind the difference here is the thickness of the vertical blast, and after the ability, depending on what your chain count is, it's also going to generate a magical bubble. So you could use that to your advantage when you're trying to get through one of those bubble missions. So my thoughts on Princess Tiana is that she's very easy to use. There is a little bit of strategy though if you want to optimize your coin earnings and also your score count. So let's talk a little bit about the strategy. The first thing you want to do is you want to set up your play area to optimize your coin earning potential, and that's by getting as many chains as possible. One way of doing that is you could just wait until your screen is fully full of Tsums before you activate the ability. During Princess Tiana's ability, the screen will freeze, so what that means is that if your screen is completely empty, then you're actually not going to get any chains. Another thing you need to know about this is that if you burst a bubble right after you clear a long chain and then activate the ability, you'll actually burst a lot more Tsums that way. In previous videos, I mentioned that where the coin counter and also where the score area is where the Tsums actually drop from the top of the screen. So if you burst a bubble, what you're not actually seeing is that Tsums are already falling from that area already. So if you have a vertical blast and you're clearing that center area, you're actually going to clear Tsums that are in the coin counter and behind the screen. You can't really see it, but it's there. So that's why if you burst a bubble before you activate the ability, you may actually earn more chains than if you normally just set up the screen. So if you have a bubble handy, that's actually the method you want to go with. So the sequence is clear a long chain, burst the bubble, and then activate the ability. By doing that, you'll be able to get a lot more coins because you're going to clear a longer chain. And then the last thing you want to do for the strategy is that after the ability plays through, you want to burst that magic bubble right away. You want to avoid popping magic bubbles at the bottom of the screen because you're not going to get the most out of that burst. You want to make sure bubbles are touching Tsums at all times before bursting them because you'll get the best outcome that way. Alright, so let's take a look at a side-by-side comparison of Princess Tiana's ability activated at the same time. And very similar to Princess Snow White and Princess Cinderella, I think that the animation is a little too long. I wish that they would cut it down a little bit more because not a lot happens when Princess Tiana comes out. So this is the vertical blast that I was mentioning. It's always going to be in these 3 positions. So you have the left side, the center, and the right hand side. This will not change regardless if you're a skill level 1, 2, or even 6. It's always going to be like that. So if you look at it here, you'll see that for skill level 1, I got a chain of 21. Skill level 2, I got a chain of 26. And then skill level 3, I got a chain of 30. But one thing I do want to call out is take a look at skill level 2. Earlier I mentioned that there are some Tsums that are hidden behind the coin counter and the score area. So if you look at the skill level 2 here, you'll see that some of the Tsums will burst around the coin counter and maybe even a little bit below the score area. And those are going to count towards your chains. So that's why you want to burst a bubble before activating the ability, because as Tsums are falling from the top area, they're also going to get bursted. And then after that, a magic bubble will be created, and what kind of magic bubble will be created will depend on how long your chain is. And in these game demonstrations, I always got score bubbles because it hit the threshold. But let's say if you only clear 10 or 11, you may get an ability bubble or a time bubble. That will depend on how long your chain is and also what the probabilities are during that clear. So it's a variety of possibilities, but once you get her to skill level 2 or 3, you're likely going to only get score bubbles because that's what you're going to get in terms of the probability drop. So overall, I think Tiana is a pretty decent Tsum to use. Although she is not going to be the best one that's currently out right now between Snow White and Princess Cinderella, I think that she's still a really easy Tsum to use, great for beginners, and earns a decent amount of coins. It's not going to be the best for score, but I think that she is a usable Tsum. We sometimes get new Tsums that are just not usable, but in this case, Tiana is usable. You can use her to get a decent amount of coins. Not great, but still feasible. So what I also want to show you guys is the coin earnings for all 3 of these gameplays. And for these gameplays, they were all my first attempts, so these are likely what you could expect, but definitely can improve on if you practice a little bit with Princess Tiana. At skill level 1, I only got 971 coins. Skill level 2, I got 1,338 coins. And at skill level 3, I got 2,096 coins. So starting at skill level 3, it starts to get feasible for coin earnings, but likely you're going to want Princess Tiana at skill level 4 before you want to use her to get coins. But like I mentioned earlier, she's not necessarily the best coin earner, so I wouldn't recommend you to use your skill tickets to try to get Princess Tiana to skill level 6. And for score, they're pretty average. My Princess Tiana was still at a pretty low level at the time when I recorded this video. So for skill level 1, I got 3.5 million, and same thing for 3.5 for skill level 2. And then skill level 3, I got 5.2. So still not that great. I wouldn't necessarily recommend you to get Tiana to get a high score or get coins between skill level 1 to skill level 3. So that's my review for Princess Tiana. I hope that you guys found this video helpful. And if you guys would like to see more Tsum content just like this, where I review Tsums and do monthly leaks, and sometimes I go on live stream as well, please consider subscribing to this channel. And as always, thank you so much for watching.